Hello everyone, welcome to Chapter 1, Lesson 8. This is page 55 in our 5th grade math books. So this is called Order Whole Numbers and Decimals. So example 1, the table shows the cost of 3 national football stadiums. Order the costs of the stadiums from greatest to least. Use place value. So number 1, line up the decimals. Line up the numbers by their decimal places. So what this means is our decimal places all need to line up. So with our decimal places lining up, that means all of our place values should line up too. The hundreds will be in the hundreds, tens will be in the tens, ones will be in the ones, and then our decimal places, so in this case the tenths, will be in the tenths. So all of these are lining up with their place values. All of our decimals are lining up. Number 2, compare the digits in the greatest place. So the greatest place is going to be our hundreds place, and we're going to compare all of these digits. So we have a 3, 4, and 3. So we know 4 is going to be greater than 3. Number 3, compare the digits in the next greatest place. So now that we know the 4 is the largest, now we need to look at these two numbers, 364 and 2 tenths and 350. So in the tens place, we have a 6 and we have a 5. So we know 6 is greater than 5 and 5 is less than 3. 6 is greater than 5 and 5 is greater than 3. So we also looked at this 3. But since the 4 is the biggest number, we already know the 400 is going to be the biggest. So another way is we could use a number line. So on our number line, we have 350, 364 and 2 tenths, and 430. And by the way, according to this table, all of this is in the millions of dollars. So this is $350 million, 364 and 2 tenths million dollars, and $430 million. So the costs in millions of dollars from greatest to least are 430, 364 and 2 tenths, and 350. And just remember, when we use the number line, the numbers on the right are always greater than the numbers on the left in terms of positive values. The numbers on the right are always greater than the numbers on the left, always. So that was page 55. That was example 1. We're going to move on to example 2. It says 4 trees in a state forest had heights of 22 and 65 hundredths, 23 and 8 tenths, 22 and 23 and 25 hundredths feet. Order the heights from least to greatest. So from least to greatest, we have... Okay, so first things first, we're going to line up our decimals. So all of our decimals are lined up. That means now we need to line up all of our place values, which the book has done for us. What they've also done was they also annexed any zeros. Because we have numbers in our hundredths place, we added zeros to a couple of our numbers until we ended in our hundredths place. So we did number 1, we did number 2. Number 3, compare the digits using place value. So we're going to look at the tenths place, they're all the same. The ones place, we have a couple of 2s. So I'm going to look at my tenths place, and 0 is less than 6. So my number in the least is going to be 22. And my greatest number, we're going to look back at the 23s. So we have 23, 23, and then 2 and 8. 8 is greater, so my greatest number is 23 and 8 tenths. So the heights in feet from least to greatest, I'm going to have 22, 22 and 65 hundredths, 23 and 25 hundredths, and 23 and 8 tenths. Very important that we line up our decimals and annex our zeros. That's going to help us solve these. Helpful hint. So go ahead and try the guided practice on your own and pause the video, and I'll get back to you guys shortly. So I'm going to start off by reading the instructions. Order each set of numbers from least to greatest. That means my least number needs to start first. So number 1 at 56 and 7 tenths, 64 and 3 tenths, 59 and 64 and 5 tenths. I know my 50s are going to be in the least, so I have 56, 59, 56 and 7 tenths, 59, and then I have 64 and 64, this is 3 tenths and 5 tenths, so 64 and 3 tenths, 64 and 5 tenths. That is from least to greatest. Rainfall in inches. So all my ones have zeros. So my tenths place, I have a 7, 0, 6, 2. So I'm going to have 9 hundredths. And then 2, I'm going to have 24 hundredths. My next one is a 6, 63 hundredths. And then last one is going to be 76 hundredths. Height of flowers. Well, I know it's going to start with an 8. So my tenths, I have a 9, a 5, a 7, and a 0. So my 0 is going to be my least, so I have 8 and 5 hundredths, 8 and 59 hundredths, 8 and 705 thousandths, and 8 and 9 tenths. Very important, just because this has more numbers does not mean it's bigger. I have to start with my greatest place value, which was my 8, and then I moved over to my tenths. Number 4, the lengths of insects in centimeters are 1 and 35 hundredths, 9 tenths, 1 and 48 hundredths, and 1 and 8 tenths. So I'm looking at my ones values. I have a 0, so that's going to be my least, so that's 9 tenths. And then all of them have 1s, so I'm looking at my tenths place. So 3, 4, and 8. I have 1 and 35 hundredths, 1 and 48 hundredths, and 1 and 8 tenths. Just remember, since I already, the 9 here, I know my 9's greater than all the other tenths place, but once I use this number at the beginning, I don't have to use it anymore. So that way I'm still ordering from least to greatest. But that's the end of the notes. So thank you for watching.